Call is now being recorded.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Sam. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Cool. Did you get the thing that it's being recorded?
She said yes.
That's funny.
I'll try not
Okay,
to say anything illegal.
no, please say anything. It'll add to it, the
Oh,
tension,
okay.
for the film. I'm actually in Libby right now,
Cool.
shooting film. Yeah, but how have you been?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good, yeah. Just, doing stuff, really, just working.
I'm curious about, as far as like Jim's dreams about the bear and that whole experience. I was wondering if, like, how much of that story you'd be willing to share.
Okay, well, so the sheriff picks him up, and the sheriff says, listen, there's this bear that's been hanging around the dump, and it's been scaring people, and doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon, so we got to take care of it. And he takes him out to the dump, and I got the impression that, and I don't know where this dump was in town, but I want to say it's like just outside Libby toward where you hit Pipe Creek Road.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I feel like Dad told me it was out that way. And I also got the impression that it was kind of like down in a little ravine, and they were standing up at the top of the ravine. And the sheriff said, I need you to shoot this bear. And Dad would. It's funny that the story kind of changed. Like early on, it was just that he shot the bear, and that was that. And then later, the story kind of changed a little bit. It was like a more sort of sympathetic and more about how he didn't really feel like he had a choice in the matter.
Right.
But anyway, the bear was down there, and he sighted him and shot, and immediately the bear starts running toward them up this little ravine, like uphill toward them. And I don't remember what Dad said he did, but he always said that the sheriff ran and like hid behind the squad car. And like his hand on his pistol, like I don't remember the details, but I do remember that the bear made it about halfway up the hill and collapsed. And that was it. And there was no like story of like, well, what did you do with the bear's body? No sort of like aftermath. So that's the story, and that's the story I heard from probably like age 12 or so on. And there was always like some sort of myth around it. Like I'd always hear that, bears can run 40 miles an hour uphill. There's always this sense of like the bear was the monster. And Bumpa, his dad had shot a bear in the early 70s. You know about that,
Right.
out at the lake, right?
Yeah.
So that seemed like it was sort of part of the myth. It's like there's this idea. Oh, hang on one second here. Thank you. That's the bear that was pushing on the wall, trying to get into that little cabin.
Right.
And then there was always like around dumps, like anytime we get close to a dump, it's like, look for bears, And I've never seen a bear at a dump, but it was almost like we were always just about to see a bear at a dump. Anyway, so that was the story I heard, pretty much the same way, although it sort of changed in the way that he didn't really have a choice, and he wished he hadn't done it, obviously. And at the same time, Dad had become a little bit more passive, like he was hunting, early on. And I'd say by the 80s, like he wasn't going to shoot, like maybe a bird, like maybe go duck hunting, but that kind of ended in the 80s too.
Right.
And his expectation of me becoming a hunter was like pretty strong early on. He'd show me the gun that like, this is what you'll get when you turn 14 or 12 or whatever. And then that's sort of like fading away. So then over time, he would tell me about the dream, like telling me that story about the bear and then telling me about the dream where he's being chased by that bear. And he would be running through the woods and that bear would be on his tail and he'd find a cabin in the middle of the woods, just in time, get through the front door and slam it behind him and lock it, and the bear would be just outside the door, and then he'd wake up. And then he'd tell me the next time, that bear's getting closer. And it scared the hell out of me because I was like, this is like death stalking you,
Yeah.
And the next time he'd get to the same cabin and the bear would break down the front door and he'd get up to a bedroom and he'd shut that door and then he'd wake up. And then the next time the bear would break down the bedroom door and he'd get into the bathroom and shut the door. And it's this, it's like ominous, reoccurring dream that we're all sort of wondering. I mean, I don't know if he told anybody else, but at least me and him are wondering where this is headed. And then he had, I want to say that must have been prostate surgery in the early 90s. And, it's scary. It was scary for everybody, because he had prostate cancer, so they were removing his prostate, which I think is so significant too, because it's like an organ that a male identity is so a part of, so attached to. And
right.
He didn't have any treatment. Like, I think they may have suggested like some kind of radiation or something, but I don't think he had any of that. I think he just had his prostate removed. But he told me right after the surgery that when he went to sleep on the operating room table, he had a dream that he woke up in the operating room and there was the surgeon, and the nurses around and the lights. It was just like this. It was the same room that he had gone into, only in the corner of the room was the bear. This bear that he had shot as a kid. And the bear, kind of slowly ambled over to him and it laid his head in his lap, right on his dad's lap, as he lay there in surgery. And he said that was the last time he dreamed of the bear.
Oh man. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
I think that's
he changed in that era. He changed. I mean, he started writing poetry right after that. A lot happened there. He broke up with his girlfriend that he'd been living with for, I think, 8 or 9 years. And then he bought a home. He moved out there to Charbonneau. And that was significant in that he had been kind of a nomad up until then.
that says everything, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty profound for him to go to Korea in the war and experience that sense of like fear and hostility and then to try to carry that through his life. Yeah, Libby and the cabinets always felt like home to him. Like I think I wrote at some point that, like, about just before Troy, not too far across the state line, that he would just suddenly relax. You know, it was like he
Right.
was home. He was home out
Yeah,
there.
he would just like he would just sigh, or exhale, and yeah, that's
Yeah, it was
funny.
always kind of a scramble to get out there, and then that was sort of like things slowed down as soon as we hit the state line. To me, it's like significant in the way in which it's all that context, all that, like, growing up with that fear of bears, and like now I see why. It's like that bear was sort of always on the hunt. It
Yeah.
represented some part of himself that was running, and then that stopped. Say hi to Dad.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely will. And yeah, I'll go catch a fish for the family, I guess. And I don't know. This means a lot to me, Jason. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, Sam. Anytime, and do let me know if you want to pick up anything or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, best of luck working, and enjoy the fall. All right.
All right. You too, Sam. Talk to you soon.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
Okay. Yep. Bye.